Hello all, welcome to episode number 100 of the WP Café show with me, Mark Wilkinson, and my co-host, Keith Devon. We have made it to 100 episodes, which is a lot. It's a lot. If you're new here, thank you very much for joining us. We are the WordPress show all about running our WordPress agency, building stuff with WordPress, selling our WordPress plugins, and anything else to do with WordPress. We tend to have a chat on a Friday afternoon about all things WordPress. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, please consider clicking the subscribe button, hitting the like button, and maybe even ringing the notification bell so you get the next episodes live in your inbox. So today, in our 100th episode, we have got a few things to talk about. Before we do that, though, if you are joining us live, please join us in the chat. Say hello, say who you are, where you're from. It'd be nice to hear from you. How has your week been, Keith? What have you been up to?
It's been good. We will be discussing what we've been up to on the show. So, writing a proposal is one of the main things that we've been doing this week. Yeah, it always feels onerous. Anyway, so doing that, bit of design work for our school website, bit of RecPress. I've got a few RecPress integrations to do at the moment, so a little bit of that. Some general support for some people. Outside of that, I've been learning piano. I think I kind of briefly mentioned it. I don't know if I have mentioned it. But I've been. So I say teaching myself. I'm using an app. But we bought like a nice electric keyboard for my daughter to learn piano. I'm actually playing it more than anybody else. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that as a little aside. Yeah, it's been really.
I would
really
love to be able to learn the piano.
Well, you can
try. I know you can, but yeah, it's just hard.
Yeah, it's interesting because my wife was keen to learn. She's been saying for years, "Oh, I'd love to learn the piano." Got the piano, got the app, and she gave it a few goes, and I was just like, "No, it's not for me." But I was very musical as a child. So my dad's a pianist, or like
Nice.
not a professional pianist, but a very competent one. So yeah, so it's kind of in the blood, but it's fun. It's fun watching my daughter learn because she's 7 and. Her little tiny fingers, and but just watching the progress and like how rapid the progress has been, it's been like so satisfying. Like she's like, "Can I play piano for a bit?" Because she needs to use my phone for it. So I give her the phone, and she goes over, and she's like, and then she's just playing. She's just like, she comes to a new bit in the course, and it's a new song, and you know instantly what song she's playing. It's like, my God, she can actually play the thing. It's amazing. It's really fun.
Anyway. Yeah. Definitely. Nick says, what app did you use? This is supposed to be about WordPress, but we'll carry on with piano stuff for a minute. Nick says he did that in lockdown and gave up. Which app are you using?
It is called Simply Piano, and it's part of a family of Simply apps. So you get your account. It's 20 quid a month, and you get Simply Piano, but you also get access to Simply Sing, Simply Guitar, and like a drawing one. So and you can have up to 5 people on any one account. So I've got like my wife, my daughter, me, my sister, and my niece, all on that 20 quid a month, and I've absolutely loved it. Yeah. Like I just highly recommend it.
Cool. And Elliot says he plays the guitar, the drums, and the keyboard.
All very badly.
I bet you play them better than I would be able to.
Yeah,
definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway. Exciting, learning piano. I like it. That's good.
It's been fun. What about you? How's your week gone?
It's absolutely flown by. When I asked you that question about 2 minutes ago, I was thinking you're going to ask me the same question in a minute, and I'm going to say I don't really know what I've done this week. I've just been kind of cracking on with general stuff. I've got a few appointments to go to, so I've kind of missed a bit of the day here and there and everything. They always take longer than you think. I had an eye test yesterday, which was fine. Very boring. So I had to go to that. Got some more sales of Job Relay, which was nice. We haven't had too many sales recently. It kind of just kind of tail off a little bit in the summer. So it's not like an unusual thing. So been setting some of those up, and they're alongside some of the rec press builds that you've got to do as well, which is nice. So yes, all good, all good.
Yeah.
So today in episode 100, amazing. When was the first episode? I should know this, but I don't.
Which, you know what? We have literally done nothing in preparation for like this as a 100th kind of celebration. So this isn't a celebration of any kind. This is just a normal episode. Yeah, I have no idea. Haven't looked back at any stats, haven't done anything.
No, we were chatting about the episode 100, and I'm like very much of the view that, well, it's just the one after 99, really, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
But everyone else, oh no, you should do something for episode 100, and it's like, well, you know, it's like if you're a cricket batsman and you score 100, why is it like so much better than scoring 99? You've just scored one run more, really. It doesn't. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So you can celebrate it if you like, but we're just doing a normal episode. It just happens to be number 100.
Send the cake in the post.
That'll be interesting when it arrives. What we're going to go with first, Keith, in our list of little topics to discuss.
Well,
what would you like to tackle first?
Should we jump straight into the big one in case we run out of time? Because we waffle on sometimes, don't we? But the main thing that I guess we've done this week, the most important thing, is a proposal for a new website redesign and redevelopment project of a current client's website. So someone actually that I've worked with for a very long time now. They were a client of mine before we partnered up, and we've been together for a while. So this is a really, really long-term client. It would be the third website that I've built them, potentially, I think. Each one's lasted really well. So it's one of those awkward ones where I feel like as the incumbent, we both have an advantage and disadvantage. The advantages are that they know us, we get on well, we're not like an unknown quantity, it's not like a risk. The disadvantage is I think we're being judged against their current website, which
like the current website is the reason they want a new website. So therefore you're judged against the fact that, well, why would we want to get the guys that built the one we don't like now to build the new one? So
so any criticism of their current website could be, in my opinion, unfairly leveled against us and our capabilities. So it's a tricky one. We really want to keep working with them because they're just a wonderful client.
Yeah, hopefully.
So we've been putting the proposal together, and as we said at the start, I just find that's always just like a bit of a painful process. I feel like we probably should have locked this down in our 10 years of working together into something that's really smooth and we know exactly what we're doing, but I feel like we're making it up from scratch almost every time.
But I do think that like the landscape has changed a lot in terms of what we're building these things with, you know, the block editor, the full site editor, a lot of that stuff we had to sort of build in a way, whereas now we don't have to build it. We have to sort of like tweak it to make it work and stuff. So that has changed the way we write proposals, I think. But I think in this one, we kind of took a different approach. So we kind of, luckily, this client had a brief. And it was a pretty good brief, actually.
Pretty good, yeah.
You know, it was pretty good as to what they want, bit of background information about the company. And what we decided to do in this particular proposal was to say, well, what are the actual problems? Like, why are they changing? You know, why do they want this new website? What are they trying to solve? And we narrowed that down to sort of, I think it was 2 things. And then inside those, there was a couple of sort of sub-points about each one. So I think one of the key ones was the flexibility of the website. So it was an old non-block editor website. So it was very much, you know, page templates look like this, etc. And it's just not providing that flexibility. So we took that as like one of them. And then everything that we kind of wrote was trying to sort of like get across how we'll solve those 3 different problems that they want, that they see as problems, and therefore that give success outcomes because, you know, you've solved those problems. And we sort of took it like that a little bit. I actually quite like this one. I think it was a nice proposal because some of our proposals have ended up like 18 pages long, whereas this one, I think it was 9 or 10.
It's actually 12, but that's only because I increased the font size.
All right, okay.
and gave it some page breaks and things. We're using for a kind of print document, I guess. I'm using a very big font. So if it was a normal font size, it would probably be about 8 pages, something like that. But yeah, I'm making it nice and very readable, and yeah, I think it makes it look kind of more modern with a bigger font. I don't know. But yeah, I like it. I think one of the things with us though that we're not very good at, and this would be under my remit, I guess, is making things like this look more attractive. Because I can almost guarantee that some other agency is going to come in and they've got some beautiful template already designed up in InDesign or Canva or something, and it's all fancy and branded, and they've got all these like screenshot examples, and ours is basically just text. It is just text, apart from a picture of you and me. We didn't even put any logos on or anything, like, the standard their logo and our logo kind of idea. So it's very plain. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't know. You never know though. You never know if like how important these things are, because you never find out why you did or didn't win it. No one's going to say, "Oh, you didn't win the project because your proposal wasn't colorful enough." Like,
that's what I think. I do think it reflects us and our personalities. Like we are very simple and just we're not bothered about. I'm going to say the fluff, but it's not that. I mean, it does look nice and it does a purpose, but I just think that's just us. So actually, if you don't like that, then
it's kind of just to the point, and it does a job. It's not that it looks. It's not like I don't care about aesthetics. I obviously do care about aesthetics, but I don't care enough to add. Yeah, like you say, fluff. Like put in all that extra work, which doesn't really add any value. But maybe it adds value in their eyes, and I don't know. I do worry is the wrong word, but I do think about things like that quite a lot. Like, should we just put in that little bit of extra effort, even if we don't think it's important?
Yeah.
If they think it's important, like, should we do that?
What does everybody think? Is that important in a proposal document to have like really elevated design, should we say?
Yeah.
Or is it not that important? So I mean, we will end up doing a pitch for this, I think which is another controversial is not the right word, but it's something we don't often do. We are going to go, because we rarely see this client, and it's been nice to go down and see them. So we are going to do an in-person pitch, and I think that's where the stuff we don't put in the proposal comes out, and people tend to see when they meet us and chat to us. So I think that's where that becomes more important, personally, than putting all the effort into the document.
Yeah.
That said, if this wasn't an existing client, would we not get to the pitch stage because of the document? I suppose that's the argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is tricky, but proposals are difficult, and we have never fully been comfortable with them. I don't think is a good word.
Well, I really, really struggle to know how much detail to go into, and like how much of the scope of what, because you could go into like, we're going to design this template, these blocks, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I haven't done any of the design work, and I haven't done any of the kind of competitor analysis and stuff that we might end up doing. So I shouldn't really be prescribing that stuff now.
Yeah.
That should be part of the process. And if you're putting together a proposal and then having to price it based on all these kind of unknowns, it's just really hard. So we've kind of taken the approach, let's just slap a number on it. We know that we can deliver what they want, what they need.
Yeah, definitely.
For this price. And then it's up to us to kind of manage that process. Like once it starts, it's kind of happening with the school at the minute. There's all the kind of standard scope creepy kind of stuff going on, and we could have tried to lock all this down. In fact, we did a much better job in that proposal of locking all that down, and it's still kind of, the conversations still come up. Oh, can we have this? Can we do this? Can we change this? It's just like, we've just got to deal with that as it comes in the best way.
Coming back to that other proposal, for the school one, which we did in much more detail, I agree, and it ended up a very lengthy document.
Mm-hmm.
I am not convinced that proposal was the thing that really won us the work. I might be
I'm not
wrong.
convinced it was even read thoroughly by anybody.
That's what I mean. So I actually think that like meeting us, talking to us, the previous work that we've done, that carried far more weight than that actual document did.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it wasn't a train wreck, I think I might be completely wrong, but that's the impression I get.
Yeah, I think you always just want to. I always want to include everything that I think will make the project a success for them. So like making sure that you're hitting all the things that they want to hit. And I also want to kind of leave it open enough to be a bit flexible during the project so that when things come up, we don't have to say, well, that wasn't on line such and such of the proposal.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the nitty gritty. I want to kind of leave it a little bit ambiguous just so that we can just get on with our jobs. But then that does kind of open up the slight risk that ambiguity causes. Like there's areas there where it's like, well, you didn't say anything about this in the proposal, so what are you going to do about that? Or you didn't tell us that we were only going to be allowed 7 custom blocks, or do you know what I mean? Like it does open you up to that stuff, but I think there's a level of trust in it. At the end of the day, if a relationship got really terrible during a project and people weren't being reasonable, you can't always just walk away from it. If it really, and that very obviously very rarely gets to that, but like that. So like really what is the risk?
I think we take a bit of a negative view, too negative view sometimes. Like how many projects can we look back in the 8 years of high-rise digital where we've actually had a real problem where like there's been arguments about the scope and what we're doing? I can think of one really.
One really jumps out to me.
And the rest of them, there's been little contentious things, but we've always, like most people are actually just reasonable.
Yeah.
So it's fine. You come to an agreement. So I think that largely is the case, and perhaps we worry about it a bit too much. That sort of like really fine detail, and like Elliot mentioned, crossing.
And we know what these guys are like.
Yeah, because we've worked with them for ages.
So the risk is definitely a lot lower than it would be with like a brand new client, a brand new prospect. So
so we've sent that over, and I think we're going to get booked in for a pitch slot. I think that's the next plan, isn't it?
And we were umming and ahhing about that, weren't we? About whether to do that in person, because it's a lot of money for us to both get trains into London, potentially stay overnight. In your case, it makes a lot more sense to stay over and all that stuff. But we thought, actually, we do really want this. They have been a great client of ours. I think it just shows them a bit of respect in a way that we're prepared to do it. And it gives us an excuse to see each other.
Exactly.
We can potentially see other clients. We could potentially do something fun. Who knows? So
I think that'd be a good one. So we've to sort all that out. But anyway, we'll keep you posted. Hopefully that'll be another little project. It's not a huge project. Don't get it's not a huge build. It's essentially a brochure website with a nice brand and then a few things on top of it, but nothing too complicated. Which is why I think we're in a good position. Like it's kind of like it's our bread and butter, if that makes sense. That's what we're really good at delivering. Yeah. So that'll be good. Yeah. Any comments about that? Let's just have a look. Nick says the old adage that people buy from people. Yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
Yeah, I agree.
Then, hang on. I'll come back to that. I'm sorry, Peter. It came up on the screen and then disappeared. Elliot says, if I'm building a plugin with a specific logic, the scope of work is very detailed, down to user does A, the result is B. Any scope group is treated as additional features. Yeah. And I think we have done that where projects are very complicated in nature, or they have that specific functionality, if that makes sense. But a website is very, very fluid and very, very different in that sense. I think it can be harder to nail that down, I think.
Yeah. And this is a very standard brochureware kind of website, isn't it? It's nothing like functional side like that. It's more, do they like the design of these page templates or not? So it's kind of hard to nail that stuff down.
Yeah. Peter, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, pretty has become expected, especially if the client is hiring for design work. It's different if you know them well. Yeah, I think design is an important one there, isn't it? If you're the designer, then you probably
which we will be in this case.
Which we will be in this case, yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe that's not good then. And then Peter also says it helps to know the personalities of the decision makers. A champion is invaluable. Yeah, and that's where it helps that we are currently the provider and work with them for a long time. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
hopefully that'll stand us in good stead. Yeah,
positively for us. Yeah.
Mark, you had something on the list to chat about what is new for WordPress developers. Is that based off the monthly newsletter?
Yeah. So you may have seen it in your inbox. I get it in my inbox every month. It's from the developer blog. What's new for developers, October 2024. It's written by Nick Diego. It was sent yesterday, I think. One thing that stood out to me was block bindings API. What they've done or will be doing in WordPress 6.7 is basically providing a UI for the block binding. So in the past, you had to sort of edit the block and then stick this like JSON mapping binding array thing at the top. Whereas now there seems to be a nice little UI for it. It's still complicated. Right. Like when we've been building this website, I have really gone full circle with all this and just thought, like, just use ACF blocks. It is so much easier to do. It's so much easier for the client. But it's there, and it's interesting that they're trying to move that forward and making it better and better, because I think block bindings and those sorts of technologies that they're introducing are the stuff that agencies will need going forward. So it's certainly worth having a look at. There's quite a few stuff in that email. It's probably worth looking at if you are interested in that sort of stuff. The other one I saw and didn't quite understand, but it piqued my interest, was view meta boxes in the iframed post editor. So I assume that, I know the editor's iframe now. I assumed that if you had meta boxes, they weren't part of that iframe. And maybe this means now they are. I'm not sure. I couldn't quite understand what it meant, but I thought it was an interesting one to look at. But there's loads of other stuff in there. Have a read through, and if you're not signed up to that, you can sign up to that just to get it through your email. I tend to, because a lot of the articles on the developer blog are quite good. Justin Tadlock writes some really good educational pieces I think really work well, and I enjoy reading those and understanding what's going on. Even if sometimes I think, well, that's too difficult, I'm not going to bother doing it. It's nice to read it and understand what's happening.
Yeah. Few comments. First from Tim. Hi, Tim. He says, late to the party, but wanted to come on to say roll on the next 100. I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see what we get to. Cameron, thanks for joining us, Cameron. He says, it's still complicated, in quotes, as in what you said, Mark. Is there anything in the block editor you can't say that about? Some things, but yeah, I definitely know what you're getting at. Elliot. Hi, Elliot. He said, thoughts on desktop and mobile menus, managing two different menus. I did see something about this on X, but I didn't really pay it too much attention. So there's going to be the sense of having a mobile menu and a desktop menu instead of just the one navigation block or something. I don't know, because it's a mess and they need to sort it out somehow, and that's what they've come up with. It might make sense because, I mean, they are very different, or they can be very, very different UIs. Even if the markup underlying them is the same, they can be, we've built navigations where the desktop version of it is very, very different to the mobile version of it. And it would be very hard to do that in the block editor without just separating them completely.
To my recollection, we've never had two menus.
No, we haven't.
The customer just manages one menu.
Correct, but that's because we're developers,
right?
And we can do that, and we can use media queries and such. But if you're trying to do everything in the block editor, then
I can't see an example where a website would be like, oh, we don't want these menu items to show for a mobile menu.
Yeah.
Mobile users aren't allowed to click on these pages. I just think that's a bit
Yeah, I think it's more just like the layouts, the font sizes, the colors, the backgrounds. You can change all that stuff.
Not sure about that.
I'm not
Sure
a
about that.
lover. I'm not a lover of that as an idea.
Yeah.
That is a very, very, very hard problem to solve. I think menus. Designing websites in an editor is a very, very hard problem to solve. As we've been finding out over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I saw a tweet on X, and it was someone. Were they using Wix? And they said like that it was something like that. Forgive me if it wasn't Wix, but they said even Wix like struggles to do menus. So actually, everyone's quite critical of the WordPress menu system, but actually, it kind of just proves that it is quite hard because other people haven't got it right either. So perhaps just something to bear in mind.
Yeah.
Elliot says throws the dry. Do not repeat yourself out the window. Yeah, if you've got two different menus to manage. And like, do they both load on the page at the same time? We just hide one, show the other.
I'm not sure how it works.
Doesn't seem to make much sense. Can it now be managed with the classic menu manager? Says Nick. If enabled, managing a menu in the editor is horrid. Yeah, it is horrid.
I think you can still enable the classic menu manager, which is what we've done or probably will do.
Yeah, from memory, it's still there, isn't it? You just need to turn it on again.
Yes,
it's turned off by default, I think.
Yeah, but then I don't know if and how that interacts with any of the blocks that are available. So, yeah, I'm not actually sure how that works in practice. We're going to come up against this very soon, so we'll let you know how we build our menus on this new build.
Mark, thank you for joining us. Says many of the projects I've made have different menus for mobile and desktop. For example, separate primary menu and meta navigation on desktop, both in one navigation on mobile.
There you go. We haven't done that, but
yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
And
Nick says the menu block doesn't work with it.
Right.
Is that the classic?
Yeah.
Menu thing. Yeah. Well, that would be true. It wouldn't work with it. But
we haven't used the navigation block yet. I mean, has anyone? Except for very, very simple things. But yeah, we haven't actually used it yet.
I think this is a classic example where you just turn the classic editor on, classic menu block on, build an ACF block that outputs the menu.
Yeah. I'm starting to think the whole header of our site should just,
not be a template part.
Not yet.
So they can't. No, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Speaking of which, just a really random thing. In new full site editing themes, is there still a head.php template?
No.
Where does all that data?
There's no PHP files.
No. So where does all that stuff that used to be in the head come from?
WordPress must just output the hook WP head somewhere, I guess. Right. I don't know. It must do in the background, or else everything hooked into WP head, like your in-keyed scripts and styles and stuff, and wouldn't work.
In themes, we used to have all of the HTML for your site used to be in your theme.
Yeah.
None of it was in core. So there is some stuff like that in core, like the opening body tag and closing body tag is now in core. And the head section is in core. Is that right?
It must be. Mark says no HTML edit is using the WP head hook, which is what I assume.
Because I was adding some Adobe fonts to a site, and I was just like, I'll just open up the head.php just to throw in the script tag or whatever it was, the link, just to test it. I was like, where the hell is the head.php in our theme? And it wasn't there. I was like, where does all this come from? So yeah, anyway, that was just something a change that I hadn't realized, that you have direct access to that anymore.
Yeah, it's not there for you to use. I don't. Well, presumably you could unhook stuff and hook stuff in still because it's a hook.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and you could digging around it in core
where it's hooked in order to be able to unhook it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's that. Anything else to chat about? Any of the comments come through?
Yeah. Bartek says, thanks for joining us again. The be dry mantra is causing harm. Dry is good principle, but not a silver bullet. Premature abstraction is often root cause of accidental complexity.
I don't know what premature abstraction means, so I can't answer that. Or comment on that.
I think abstracting things before they should be. So,
what does abstracting things mean?
Yeah, good question. I can't define a term like that, but I think I get the general principle. Like if you're trying too hard to make everything dry, you can cause more complexity than you're saving.
Than you're trying to solve. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
I
sense.
think,
Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense to get that. Yep.
That's I think what the layman's version of that. Anything else now you want to pull up? Hookers, that's very developed. Yeah, no, that's all good.
Right,
All good.
We'll wrap it up there then at half an hour.
Yeah, nice.
That
tidy.
was episode 100.
Worth the wait, right?
How exciting! Thank you very much for joining, everybody. With quite a few of you on the live stream today, and thank you for getting in touch in the comments and putting your comments and thoughts towards us. It's always nice to get some interaction. As always, if you haven't subscribed, please do like the video and ring that notification bell for next week's episode to get into your inbox. We should be back next week. Let me just quickly check the diary, and the answer to that is probably yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Although things do change. So if nothing changes, we will see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.